wait. Don't wait. Wednesday Night Live, take one. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to our home. My name is Greg Hicks with Impressions Catering, and you're literally in the Hicks household. And with us this evening are our great friends Cory and Kristen Arp, and we literally have just asked them to come over, and we want to show you a little bit about some of the entrees that we're offering at Impressions Catering, and really how simple it is to finish it off. Cory and Kristen have ordered and enjoyed some of the entrees that we've offered over the last couple of months. And we wanted to offer this as a service to kind of show you there's absolutely nothing wrong with our perfectly finished meals. But if you were at my house, we go a little bit extra. And so I wanted to show you a little bit different way of finishing some things off, maybe some different kitchen hacks and some things to help you along the way. And we're going to involve them. So I'm going to pause for a second and say this is entirely unrehearsed. And so we hope we're not going to lose any fingers on some cutting skills, and we're not going to need to look at you first.
Yeah, it's understood.
So we are going to show you a couple of different things, and let's get started. So when you get an entree from Impressions Weekly Menu, typically they'll come in a pan like this. Both the top and bottom are recyclable, which is really nice, aluminum, and then a foil and paper on the top. Cooking instructions are on that. For example, this evening we're going to do our pesto grilled chicken. The cooking instructions on that are to preheat oven to 350 and heat uncovered for approximately 20 minutes. What's inside here is a portion for 2. We're offering these in portions of 2 and 4. And all you're going to do when you get home is take that lid off and throw that in a preheated oven. It's just that simple. We do have a little balsamic glaze that we include, and I'll show you how we're going to use that in here as well. For the purposes tonight, where we have our friends over and their kids, you can't see them, but can we hear from the kids?
Hello!
They're usually a little bit more vibrant than that, so they're here, okay? As well as my family. So there's 8 or 9 people that are here tonight. So I've got 3 or 4 packages of our 4-portion pesto chicken. So Kristen, if you would, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things. You can just put this in the oven and it just get hot. Okay. What we want to do is we want to create a little bit of caramelization, a little bit of extra crispy on it. It's already been marinated. It's already been grilled, so that hearty pesto flavor, that savory flavor, has been grilled into the chicken. We are using chicken tenderloins. They're a little less expensive for us commercially, and so we're able to give you a really good portion at a really good price point. So what I'd like for you to do, you can use the tongs, if you take the rest of the chicken off of this and put it on this pan. And then what I want you to do is really lightly spray that. And we're using an olive oil spray, a little bit healthier for you, better for your heart. And so what I want you to do is just do a light coating over each piece of chicken.
Okay.
We're not trying to oven fry this. It's really just to get a little bit of coating of oil on it. Give it to Mojo. Right? Just back and forth, perfect, right. Just like that over each one. So what you're doing here is called a Maillard effect, and what happens is the sugars that are in both the chicken, the meat, as well as in the pesto, when it reacts with the oven and this olive oil, it crisps up. So it's that charring kind of umami flavor, and that's what that's called. Okay, very technical. Maillard effect is what that's called. All right, that's right. So what I'm going to have you do is, if you'll take that, I'm going to grab these hot pads, and I've already preheated the oven to 450. What I'm going to do is actually stop that, and I'm going to go to broil and start that up again. So now I've got a 450 degree oven, as opposed to waiting for the broiler to warm up and only the heat coming from the top. The entire oven cabin is now hot. So I'm going to have you put that on the top, and I'm going to take out, I have a preheated pan that I've already put in there, and I'll show you why I want to do that, because we want to make this really quick. I'm going to turn on my stove for about medium-high heat, just so that can be heating while we're finishing off the rest of this. If you're not already using parchment paper, this is not wax paper, but parchment paper, you should really get some. If for no other reason than it makes cleanup a lot easier with things sticking to the pan. So again, I've got a preheated pan. Trying not to touch that, thinking that's not preheated. We're going to take a little bit of this olive oil spray, And it doesn't take a lot, but just a little bit of that olive oil spray. I'm going to smoke you out over there, Cory. And then our veggies that are coming in our pan, our veggies, again, I've got 3 or 4 portions of this, we'll just put on top of this pan. So I've got a hot pan, sell the sizzle. I've got a hot pan, that's right. I've got a hot pan already, getting ready to go back into a hot oven. And now the chicken is getting broiled from the top. And just spread that around. So here I've spread that around, and I don't even have dirty hands yet.
Yes.
Back in, that's right. Back into the oven. About 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe at the most, is really all it's going to take. If I'm not done doing everything else that I plan on doing, I'm going to do a salad for you real quick. We'll show you how to finish the orzo. All I'm going to do is turn that oven off and leave it. Okay? So we're doing that. In the meantime, my saute pan is getting heated up, and that's going to be for finishing the orzo. Now we're going to go to the salad. I think salad, I think people, unless you're really a veggie eater, I think people avoid salad, especially during, cooler, you're good. Especially during cooler months, because it's like I got cold lettuce and cold veggies and all that kind of thing. And my son Will, can I hear from Will?
Hi.
Hi, all right. He says lettuce is like eating wet paper. So not really exciting to a lot of people. And so I want to show you some things to really liven up your salad experience. So I have a whole head of lettuce, a whole head of romaine lettuce. I like using romaine. It's a little bit hardier than a leaf lettuce. The deeper the green, the better the vitamins. Okay, and we want to fill this salad with lots of different colors and textures and crunchy. And I love things that are crunchy. And then we're going to do a really quick, easy vinaigrette, all inside of this Ziploc bag, and it's just going to be so simple. So when you buy romaine lettuce, you guys can't see this, but you can see you've got brown tips that are on the edges. So what I like to do is, there's really nothing wrong with them. It's not spoilage. It's just, as flowers dry out, they kind of brown up like that. Right. So what I like to do, it's still on the core, is kind of fold it over so that all those tips are together. And then just with my palm and my fingers, just take off just the edges, okay? So instead of going with this big rounded thing and a big flat knife, you can just take off those tips. And then if you have some different places in there that you missed, all you gotta do is take those off, okay? So easy to do. Everyone probably knows that as you cut lettuce, it tends to brown, but it isn't gonna brown until hours later or tomorrow, okay? The reason that is just like when you pick a flower, the end of that stem tends to shrivel up. It's the same thing. It's just natural. It's not necessarily spoiling. It's just kind of self-preservation. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is, to make this real easy, we're going to take this whole head and we're going to split it down the middle. You can see how my fingers are out of the way of the knife, so I'm going away from my fingers. We're not cutting it like this. We're not fruit ninja-ing it up in the air or anything like that. We're gonna go straight down the center for that, okay? So I'm gonna do one, and then Cory's gonna do one.
Okay, I need the work.
Right. So what's gonna happen here is, now I still have whole leaves, I've got some partial leaves and all that. And so what I wanna do is, about 3/4 of the way down, is just leaving it on the core, bring it down 4 or 5 times, down the end, like that. So now, shove those guys back in there. So now I have these individual kind of fronds, that are coming out. And you can see where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. And then what I want you to do is roll it. I'm just kind of rolling underneath so that it's all gathered. Yeah. Okay? So when you're cutting, if you'll hold your hand kind of like a claw, put your thumb behind it, your forefingers like this, and your knife is just running right along the top. Yes. You can either go straight up and down, you can run right right across. If you're uncomfortable with that, I would still hold it the same way and just cut a little further away. Gotcha. All right. So what I can do with that, I want to go into more like shreds as opposed to chunks. Okay. We want to go into a thin shred. If it was thinner, and we were being technical, we would call it a chiffonade. And so that you've seen kind of like shredded leaves, that are like that. And so, when you get comfortable.
Why did you look at us?
When you get comfortable enough,
your eyes on the knife.
This kind of becomes an extension of your hand, all right? And then the core is all together and it just goes away. So instead of cutting a head of lettuce and like exploding all over the counter, right? And so now
Like an onion.
that's right, like an onion. So if you, vegetables like that, if you can keep the core,
Yeah.
then you can keep that like that, then you can dice it, you can slice it, and then the end stays together and you just throw it away. Instead of cutting the core out and starting to chop it and like, then you're chasing pieces all over the place.
Right.
Right? So then I'm gonna take, you've got the little bit more tender leaves, you've got the little bit more coarser core. I'm gonna put those into there. So you can see I've kind of folded the bag over a little bit and now it can stand up, right? Get a bigger bag.
That's a large bag.
That's
What-
a large, it's a
what
large
size
bag.
bag is
That's a
that?
2-gallon bag. I mean, it's a big one. But again, there's 9 or 10 of us here, so yeah, like that. So Cory is gonna come in here. No pressure. I'm
No
Cory.
pressure, not at all.
Band-aids, 911 at the ready.
Yes, we go. Here
All
we
right.
go.
So
watch
again,
what I'm
you're gonna fold it. You're gonna roll it under, just like that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Am I gonna make my
And
cuts
then,
first?
you need to
right?
make your cuts first.
Oh,
That's right.
I did.
You did, yeah,
You're tricking me.
yeah. Just like that. And then maybe one more. And then get that last fat leaf that's close to you. Easy peasy. Then roll it under. And that just keeps the leaves together instead of, just kind of flopping around. Thumb behind you.
Ooh, thank you for the thought.
Yeah. When my kids were growing up and they were learning, I always would say to them, put your thumb behind you, put your thumb behind you. We just want to kind of look at that. Pretty good shape there.
I'm keeping my eyes down.
Very good. Yeah, don't look at what's going on over here.
You.
Right? Yeah. So this is good. He's getting really nice shreds. It's staying all together on the cutting board. It's not flying all over the place. And he's getting right down to the core, probably 6 or 7 more chops.
What do you
And-
call that? Chiffonade.
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 Is that good?
Gotta do one more.
I almost
Yeah.
said shellac, but that's what it is.
And and that's it.
That's it.
So core goes away.
Fingers are intact.
Fingers intact. All right. I call that a win. Yeah, that's
Me
right.
too.
Yeah, very
My
good.
knife skills are
Terrible.
a little. Yeah, I have scars everywhere. From
We'll do
cuts.
maybe we'll do a knife skill lesson.
I might need that.
So again, adding some things in there. You can get shredded carrots from the store, easy, already done. I like doing maybe some purple cabbage. I'm gonna do this like this. Same thing with the claw, and I'll just do this for you just so that it's nice and quick. If you notice this, the tip of my knife is not ever even leaving the cutting board. Right where it is at all times. Okay, and then just maybe bring it once or twice across like that. Use the knife to put that in the bag. I had a can of roasted peppers. You could do those real easy. This is a shredded cabbage. You can get like an angel hair or shredded cabbage from the store.
Yeah.
So kind of combining some fresh prepared things and then some things that stabilize a little bit more or are a little bit more stable. The thing with bagged lettuces, there's nothing wrong with them. They're entirely healthy, but they have a little bit of a preservative flavor to them.
Yeah.
And it's because they're washed and rinsed so that they don't turn brown.
Okay.
And so that's an easy way to get a nice head of lettuce. It's cheaper to do a head of lettuce on your own than a bag of lettuce. We'd have 2 or 3 bags for the 9 or 10 of us that are here today.
Right.
You got 1 head of lettuce, it's a couple bucks, real easy. Peppers, I've seen a
That's
couple of
awesome.
different ways to do peppers. Here's the fastest, so in our business where we want to get things done quickly because we're preparing for hundreds of people, we want to take as little steps as possible. So what we're gonna do with this is coming down the side, and it's almost like peeling,
Yes.
okay? So curving just a little bit, see where I found that? Call that the vein or whatever.
Yeah.
So instead of having to cut it up and go back and do that, now I see where all the other veins are and I can kind of turn it up toward myself and just follow that down so those veins are still intact. Okay? It's also keeping the seed core intact and they're not flopping all over the place.
Right.
So instead of cutting down the middle, pulling the seeds out, having to go back and clean the seeds up later and then come back and cutting, you're able to see where those it's really kind of pithy white part is, right? And then if you weren't here, I would take a bite of that and eat that, right? But since you are, we'll cut that, like that. So you can, that's the easiest way. It's 100% usage of the product. You're not wasting the top or the bottom or anything like that, and you've eliminated 2 or 3 steps. 1 pepper for your family, not a big deal. 30 or 40 peppers for catering gigs that we do, probably a big deal.
That'd be an all-day job.
So we're just gonna cut these, just kind of rough chop. And again, thinking salad, thinking everything is similar size to the lettuce, to the tomato, to the cabbage, so that you don't have this giant piece of pepper or this giant, piece of lettuce or whatever that might be, like that. So here's a way to get it from the cutting board to the bag. Pick it up on the side of your knife. My fingers are totally out of the way, and then just pull the knife out of the way. So easy way to carry, getting all of that, instead of trying to rake it off the counter and then having your dog come, clean up, afterwards like that. So Cory, you want to give that a try?
I would love to.
Okay.
I don't even want to show you what my technique normally is. It's clean, it works, but it takes about 20 minutes. So, rounded cut on the first one, does it matter where I
it
start?
doesn't really, like that, just like that. So now that you can see where it is, you can follow that, and they're not perfect. It's not going to be completely round. You're going to have these kind of divots, that are in it, and so you just kind of find those and follow it.
How am I doing?
Great.
And then
That one last little piece. Yeah. Very
wow,
Let him read.
good. There you go.
that was quick.
Yeah.
Sliver.
So again, maybe
Oh, I
doing
forgot to-
yeah, that's all right. Maybe do it 2 or 3 times that way.
Mhm.
Turn it then sideways. Chop that into strips.
Don't cut my fingers
Don't
here
cut
on
your
live
fingers in the
TV
process.
or whatever
Watch
it
your
is.
thumb behind you.
Thumb behind
Thumb behind you.
Maddie, have you heard that before?
Never.
Okay, rough chop here.
Back when kids were younger and they knew everything, and I would say, "Watch your thumb." They, I know.
Yeah.
Can't watch Cory.
I know, my thumb, I'm like, get back.
Turn your elbow to your left a little bit. Yep. That forces your thumb out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah, forces
Okay.
your thumb out of the way. So again, really great technique, being able to do some things speedily. This is heating up, our main food is heating up. You could do this ahead of time. If you did this before you came and picked up your meal, again, Ziploc bag. Don't put any dressing on it yet. I'm going to show you a real quick, simple dressing and how to mix it up, and it take up less space. Perfect.
How's that look?
Very good. Very good. Keep your fingers out of the way. Pull the knife out, and it all falls in. Nice job. Very good. Very good. All right, so I'm going to mix this up a little bit first. Thank you. This is a wet towel. If you want to wipe off a little bit. I'm going to mix this up first. So you can see I've kept a little bit of air in here. And just zip it up. And then, not good sound for camera, but now it's all mixed. Now I got a salad. Now, if I'm doing this ahead of time, we'll take as much air out of here as possible. Chuck that in the refrigerator. Go pick up my meal, come back, and then I'll dress it later. So for right now, what we're going to do is fold that back down. So you know how when sometimes you guys are like, "Oh, I want to have that thing you made," and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta remember that recipe." And you're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Asian.
This is how it happens. Okay, this is how it happens. So, Kristen, we're gonna do lemon juice
Okay.
and olive oil. And we're just going to do a really quick lemon vinaigrette, okay? If you like balsamic, you can use balsamic vinegar. We have a balsamic reduction. You can use a balsamic reduction if you like that kind of thing. You could use a rice vinegar. You could use a white wine or red wine vinegar. What you're looking for is that acid. So it's a balance of flavor, balance of texture and mouthfeel. We're going to take a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of salt and pepper, a little olive oil, and paprika. And that gives just a smokiness, a little umami, just something different. And that's really all it's going to be dressed with.
Okay.
So I'm not even going to tell you how much.
Okay.
I'm just going to say give it a couple of jiggers of lemon juice, and I'll tell you if you need
Jiggers.
more. Jiggers. So if you
That's
can
a technical
imagine,
term.
that's a technical term. It is actually. It's a measurement
Are you serious?
for drinks at a bar. A jigger is.
Jigger.
Don't ask me. That's right.
My mom was proud, I don't know that.
That's right. To say about my mom. So lemon juice, couple of really good squirts.
All right.
Imagine, if you will, I've got a head of lettuce and how much lemon juice. Like, imagine what does it take to coat each leaf. Imagine, there you go. Good.
All right.
Couple of good glugs of olive oil.
Glugs. A jigger and a glove.
Right. A couple of nice shakes of paprika. All right, and a couple of grinds of pepper. That's probably not going to work for you. A little bit.
That was sweet, but I don't think it.
So no, it's got at its end. So I've probably got about a teaspoon of coarse ground black pepper here. I'm just gonna put that in there.
Do you measure in your
Right.
hand?
I do.
I do.
Yeah, it's pretty. It used to be pretty good at it too. Teaspoon, tablespoon, like that. So
Every now
again,
and then I'll test it to see.
again, it's
how
about
close.
speed, So then we're gonna do, now that we've dressed that, is again leaving some air in it. Okay, so it's a little poofy. And then from the bottom, as opposed to just shaking back and forth, grab it at the bottom and then shake it back and forth, all right?
Okay.
So what that does is it coats all the leaves, as opposed to all the dressing being on the top and it not sinking down to the bottom. Give it the mojo. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Very good. Okay, cool. So that looks pretty good. And then we'll just turn that out into one of our bowls.
I'm taking mental
Look
notes.
at that.
Jigger, a glog, and
Jigger,
a
a
mojo.
glug,
Good
and
job.
some
And then
mojo. I'll say that for
Chiffonade.
leftovers.
Chip what?
Chiffonade.
Chiffonade.
Chiffonade. Chef who? Chiffonade.
Or something
Chef
else.
Boyardee?
Yeah. All right, cool. So now let me show you how we're going to finish this. So what we want to do is get that out of the way. The last thing is I'm going to turn this off because I think we're in good shape there.
So you don't even have to flip the chicken.
You really
I've
don't.
already did that.
You really don't, and you'll see it's a little bit more browned up on the top as opposed to just the grill marks. It's just nice and crispy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the orzo, and I've got a chicken bone broth, so you can see it's really rich, really great flavor. It doesn't need any more sodium, so do a low sodium, something like that. We're going to put that in this pan.
Has that been on high this whole time?
No,
Oh, okay.
Medium.
okay. And then because it's meat, we're going to put a little red pepper in it.
Yes.
All right, we'll make this still kid friendly, okay? Just a little bit of red pepper. And then I'm just gonna toss that around and as it, you're fine, I'm a professional.
She's used to me.
I know.
So, you're really just using that liquid. If you've ever taken pasta and put it in the microwave, it gets kind of rubbery
Yeah.
and gross, and that's not great. If you've ever reheated it in the oven and it gets all crispy around the edges, now unless it's mac and cheese, we're talking about just the pasta. So our orzo pilaf has got a little bit of cilantro, carrot, pepper, onion, some very basic seasonings, garlic, those kind of things. We really just want it to be nice and fresh and light. And all I want to do is let that heat all the way through. You could use water, but water doesn't taste like anything, so chicken broth is nice. And I just want that to heat through, and as soon as you start hearing less and less bubbles, you know that stock is out of it, that stock is evaporated, okay? So again, just tossing it around.
Serious question, is that like a wrist technique?
It is a wrist technique, yeah. So,
Okay.
I would just use a.
I make
So
a
the-
mess trying to
yeah. So do it when nobody else is looking.
every Saturday morning.
And the technique, that's right, the technique is this, it's forward while pushing down,
Uh-huh.
and then up while coming back. Because you flip it
I'm not
so
gonna
you
try
can
that.
see. You know,
Yeah, okay.
you trust me, because you're closer
I
than you
am
were,
amazed.
right? So like that, so you can smell that,
Mm-hmm.
you hear just a
Sound
little bit of
kind of
liquid. It's orzo pasta, it's teeny tiny pasta, it's not a big rigatoni or something really hearty like that, so that's really all we need. There's still enough heat on the stove and in the pan that it's gonna evaporate the rest of that.
Okay.
Now the last thing we're gonna do with that is we're gonna take a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
This is not an Alfredo, type thing. So now I've got it on the top, and then I want to get it in the middle. Parmesan cheese is a great addition to a dish like this, not only because it's cheese and why not, but also there's a pungency and a saltiness to it that's really nice without adding extra salt. So again, just enough to kind of make that sticky and come together, okay?
That was Parmesan? No.
That's a Parmesan. Alright, so there's our orzo, and you can hear that's less and less liquid that's in there. That is off, the oven is off. Pull our roasted veggies out,
Oh man.
and you pull our
Smell
chicken
it.
out.
That smells good.
So you can see that it's nice and browned up. It's definitely heated through. You can see the steam coming off of it. Where are you? There you are.
Sorry, I'm just looking at it.
You want it, so we've given you instructions to reach this temperature. You always want to reheat chicken, a pre-cooked chicken, to 165 degrees, okay? Bacteria is killed at 140, 145. That extra little bit to get you up over the top,
Makes it safe.
just to make sure that it's safe. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to plate this up, and you guys have worked with me, so you know that we plate things up a little
Real
fancy,
special.
real
Extra.
special, we're extra, yeah. So what I want to do with this, ambidextrous.
Left-handed.
Left-handed.
What we're going to do with this is we're going to take a little bit of that orzo, like that. Look, I mean, it doesn't even have any cream in it, but doesn't it look creamy with that cheese that's in there? Now, in our root veg, we use whatever's fresh and seasonal. We've got some golden carrots, some regular carrots. We've got beets in here. We put a little bit of sweet potato. A lot of times we use a Peruvian blue sweet potato, and we've got some green beans just for some color. So I'm going to take this, and it's really, really simple. So these are my friends who, when we get together, they always want me to go first in line.
Yes.
If Greg is ever at your house or any event where you're eating, always let him go first. Watch what he does and try to duplicate.
To kind of see how we'll do it. All right. So then, for a portion for one, it's 2 of these tenderloins, and it's about 6 ounces of protein per person that we're giving. Again, we're doing portions of 2 and 4, and so we'll just kind of take this and kind of cross them just so it's not 1, 2, 3 on a plate. You know, you guys do this all the time when you're at home.
It's basically what it looks like.
Basically, pretty much like that. All right.
Fixes this every night.
We're gonna finish that too. Really, why not the whole plate with a little bit of Parmesan? And then the last thing, if you like it, on the side we're giving you some of our balsamic reduction. It is literally just balsamic vinegar that has been reduced. Actually, when you reduce balsamic vinegar, it gets sweeter, it gets more robust, it's not quite as pungent and sour and tart. And so if you're at my house, we keep it in a squeeze bottle. So, but you'll get a little portion of that. Just take a little spoon. It's not a sauce. Don't drench that thing in it, but just come in here, and we're gonna do a little bit of drizzle over the top, just like that. Just like that.
Seriously.
So
Very nice.
good.
How long will
So
this keep?
this is forever.
Forever.
All it is
Because it's
balsamic
just
vinegar
vinegar.
reduced. Yeah, there's no additional ingredients that have been put into it. That is probably,
Put that on everything.
that's a 16-ounce container. We took about 32 ounces and reduced it in half. And of course, again, this is stuff that we do all the time. You know, we have access to it in the business. But you could take a bottle of balsamic vinegar and put it in a pan and reduce it over medium-high heat, and then about half.
Yeah.
And when it gets cool, it becomes that kind of thick, glazy consistency, like that.
I think we've thrown it away in the past. What were we
Yeah,
doing?
no, not at all. Not ever. It only gets better over time. And over time, actually, the more expensive balsamic vinegar is what has been aged and put in a smaller barrel and aged and put in a smaller barrel because it reduces naturally over time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you're just speeding up that process.
I like it.
Yeah. This is our pesto grilled chicken. We've got roasted root vegetable, orzo pasta. We're enjoying it tonight with some of our handmade spanakopita and chicken and stuffing croquette. I got a dancer over here for that. Chicken and stuffing croquette with super duper gravy. This is the only time I'm calling gravy because usually we make sauces at Impressions Catering. So join us next Wednesday Night Live. Thank you, Cory and Kristen, for being with us
Thanks
tonight.
for having us.
You can visit us online, impressionscatering.net. Call us or text us, 423-614-4051. We look forward to hearing from you.
Eat it.